What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumbass. Like and subscribe. So, happy holidays. I said that before, but I said it again. Happy holidays. New Year's is coming around. It's going to be a nice new year of games for the Xbox side. Anyway, I don't know what PlayStation. I mean, PlayStation has like 4 games. It's like, oh yeah, Wolverine and Ghost of Yote, and other things. I guess Intergalactic now. Something else. I don't remember the last one. That's how forgettable they are. Anyway, I want to talk about your boy Mark Cerny and D-Batch, kind of a roundabout way. He's in this whole discussion, but I probably won't. I probably won't talk about him directly because he's like one of those Canadians that just like ba 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 ba, hey ba 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 man ba ba ba, whatever. I think Dirt has a pretty good impression of him. I've never tried to do one of Dirt. I mean of D-Batch. Maybe I should start. I think that me and Dirt should have an impressions duel. But that's later because I need to practice. I haven't been practicing. Not really. Anyway, your boy Mark Cerny put out all these things. I talked about it before. Oh yeah, we gotta make sure people understand what the PlayStation 5, the Pisser Tech 5 Potato is actually, and why it's $699 plus tax plus disk drive plus all this other stuff. I mean, it didn't help what he did because it's just a bunch of technobabble that the casuals who they want to buy, they don't know. I was listening to some. I was like, okay, I can understand the concept of what you're saying, but it means nothing to me when the PS5 amateur is outperforming whatever you're talking about here. That's all that matters. Anyway, in his presentation, Magic, he was like, I wanted to address about the teraflops, and he came up with the term Flopflation. Now, I would assume that some of these influencer YouTuber types out there, the funny guys out there, would have come up with that before Mark Cerny. But no, we were just blind. We were blinded. We were like ponies, blinded. We had the blinders on, and we're just like going through Central Park, wherever. New Orleans. I got footage of you ponies in New Orleans. I should post that or something. Anyway, yeah, he said Flopflation, and it was referencing the 33.5 teraflop number, and he was saying, oh yeah, it's romantic when you talk about the doubling of RDNA 3, blah 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 blah. And then later on in the discussion, he's like, yeah, there's no RDNA 3. It's like, I mean, there might be a little hint of a second, third redheaded stepchild cousin of RDNA 3, but not the real purebred RDNA. No. This is an offshoot. This is an inbred RDNA 3, which is really not RDNA 3. I'll call it RDNA 2.x, 2.x. Like, what is this, Mega Man? We got Mega Man. What is this nomenclature? What are we doing here? What is it? The year 19XX? The year 2000 and XX? Was the Streets of Rage? What game was that? Was it Streets of Rage that had the XX? I can't remember. A lot of them games, it's like, oh, we want to depict the future, but we don't want to, we want to shoehorn ourselves into a year, so we'll put an X. And so that's what Mark Cerny did. He put an X on it. So yeah, Flopflation. I never thought I would be around to hear Mark Cerny, of all people, come up with something kind of funny. I mean, I don't know if he was trying to be funny. It's kind of funny though. Flopflation. There has to be, somebody's got to be making t-shirts, some Flopflation t-shirts. I don't know if he trademarked that or something. He should. But I mean, unless he leaves Sony, because Sony won't have any of that. I mean, he said it in an official PlayStation, I don't even call it presentation, talk. So technically it's official, under Sony. Sony owns that. You know how, like, if you work for a corporation and you come up with something, the corporation owns it because they own you. Does that make sense? So Flopflation is owned by Sony now. They will do with that what they, I don't, you know. But that whole kind of rhetoric, the hyperbole around the teraflops, 33, 67 teraflops. I'm like, y'all are idiots. Like, y'all are dumb. And then he says, yeah, teraflops don't really, you know, it's not really going to tell you how good this stuff. And we can tell because the Xbox Series X is outperforming the PlayStation 5 Pro in games. It has less teraflops because the flopflation on a PlayStation, I guess, is bad. And there's no flopflation on the X. I don't know. Yeah, there's no flopflation on the Xbox because actually, to talk real quick, how Microsoft presents their numbers are conservative. So they'll do, I don't know if it's the average, but it's closer to an average than Sony. What Sony does is up to, and then whatever the highest number they reach. So they can spike once in a million years at, you know, 10 point whatever teraflops based on the clock speeds and all that stuff. And they didn't put that in there because it's true. They did. It got up to, boop, 1 millisecond in the perfect conditions. Not in anybody's, but in everybody else's house is like 9 and change. They say 10, but it's not really 10 because 10 is the overclock number. 10 point whatever it is. That's the overclock number. So the actual number is 9 point something. But the actual number for the Xbox is 125 or something like that. I can't remember what it was. Once again, flopflation. And I mean, and that is flop shrinkage. I don't know what the opposite of inflation is. Is it shrinkage? I don't know. I'm not an economist. And I'm not a scholar, grammar. I'm not an economist. Why is that extra syllable in? I'm not an economist. There you go. Anyway, so Mark Cerny slapping ponies once again. It's funny. I know Sean did a thing about the flopflation, and he played the clip, and he was talking about D-Batch and how D-Batch is doing the same thing for the Xbox Series X before it came out. Like he was hyping it up, trying to be all techno babble and go through into all the T-flops and all that stuff, and the 16 point floating point, and no 32, it's not 32, it's 16, it's half point floats, so you get double the T-flops. I'm like, yeah, if you go and you shoot a movie in 260 in 360p, you're gonna have a nice long movie. You could put more footage because it takes up less space, but it's garbage quality. That's what you're doing. If you're doing these calculations at 8-bit, then you might as well just go and play your NES. Because it's trash. Well, it depends. I mean, if you got trash shadows at 8-bit, then there you go. I mean, you know, it's complications in all these things. But the higher the number, the better, usually, when we're talking about calculations as far as output when it comes to, like, if you have, like, I mean, you can even, like, relate it to how the graphics were, right? 8-bit Nintendo, 16-bit Genesis, Super Nintendo, 32-bit Saturn, PlayStation, and I guess we're on 64-bit now, 120. I don't even know if they even do that anymore. I guess it's the bus speed. I don't even know if they would do it through the bus speed, but you know, that you can just use that guide, use that gauge, and to relate, oh, the calculations are 8-bit, so it's not as good, it's not high quality, 16, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but once again, 8-bit may be appropriate for a certain function. So once, you know, it depends. It all depends. You know, they're super smart people who know how to figure those things out. And the same thing goes to music. You can do 8-bit, 16-bit samples. Usually, well, 24-bit came around. I don't know if anybody's doing 32-bit, but they had the HD. They had DVD audio at one point. I think that was 48, or it might have been 24. Anyway, once again, the higher the bit rate, the better the quality. Anyway, we're talking about flopflation, and we're talking about D-Batch and how, you know, Dirt he went in and he did it, and it was I'm sorry, it was Sean. It was in third. Sean went in and he had the receipts and he played. That's why I like them. They got the receipts. They come back. They play the clips, and yeah, D-Batch is a fool. I mean, I don't know him personally, so I could call him a fool. I mean, he's acting foolish. Let's just say that. I'm not gonna say he's a fool, but he's acting foolish. And I think what he's doing is he's trying to capitalize on the console war formula, if you will. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna cause some riffles and ruffles, and just be, debating and just, kind of stoke the fires. Basically, is what he's doing. And if he is as smart as he says he is, then he knows that he's kind of exaggerating a lot of points and stuff. And I don't know if he is, I don't know what type of fanboy he is. I think he's just like a graphics whore tech fanboy, if that makes sense. Like the most powerful anything, I'm a fanboy and I'm a champion at A. I'm not gonna try. I was thinking for a second to try to do an impression, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not ready. Because if I do an impression, it'll sound like Dirt's impression, which is weird. I do an impression of an impression. Anyway, it's impression inception. Anyway, but yeah, and the thing is, like, I guess his personality type is like, because I was watching him on Twitter, and I mean, why I was he was going. I think he was arguing with Gaz or something. And Gaz was like, yeah, bro, 16.7 teraflop, blah, 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 blah. And then he was debating back. And even though he was wrong, Gaz was like, just take the L on this and blah, blah, blah. But even though he was wrong, he was still debating. He's like, did you even watch it? How many? Oh, no, he was arguing with Hargeet, too. I was like, yo. I mean, I guess he can argue, but like how he argues, he's like arguing kind of like false points. But he sounds confident when he's doing it, kind of, sort of, in his own Canadian way. And so it sounds like he's right to the untrained, if the unknowing. If you don't know the actual facts and the stats, then you'd be like, yeah, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Yeah, whatever. I mean, if that floats his boat, if that's what he wants to be, if maybe it's just an act, maybe it's a bit, I don't know. And I think that's about all the mental real estate I'm going to give to that topic. But, Flopflation, that's a pretty funny term. And I think the days of Flopflation and all those things are over, thanks to the PlayStation, the PixarTech 5 Potato. The PixarTech 5 Potato has proven that T-flops don't matter. Now, people were saying that about the Xbox Series X, but there's a difference, because the difference was devs weren't taking advantage of the power of the Xbox, and they were prioritizing PlayStation. This is what's been happening in this whole generation, and that gives the false narrative of, oh, PlayStation is better, PlayStation is more powerful, which is it's not. The amateur. And even though the PixarTech 5 Potato on paper is more powerful, it's not showing it, so it doesn't matter what the paper says. It doesn't matter how many teraflops you put out there and you say. It doesn't matter. Any of those numbers don't matter. What matters is them Digital Foundry numbers. What matters is the shimmer station. When your shadows are dancing around, then there's a problem. So, I think the T-flop and all that stuff is done. Plus, especially with this new the AI upscaling, that will be better than PlayStation's. Look, I think it was Digital Foundry that called it. I think they said that, or it might have been Fertanga, or maybe Alex. They said that the PixarTech is basically FSR, like 2 or whatever. It's just like an iteration on that, because that's AMD's upscaling tech. And they just have a chip doing the work on the hardware side, as opposed to using some of the graphics silicon to do it. That's the only difference. And so maybe that's better because it doesn't take away from the graphics CPU cycles, but at the same time, maybe it's not because it's a separate chip. And when you have separate chips, then that means latency, because the chip is here and the chip is here. That space in between, as little of time it takes, microseconds, macroseconds, milliseconds, whatever it is, I don't know, still adds to latency. So I would say if maybe the next technology would be something akin to a bigger chip that has everything in it. I mean, it's the APU, but it also has some, some AI stuff, tensor cores, if you will. I mean, I would assume that that's what those are on the RTX chips, on the RTX graphics cards. They're just cores that handle ray tracing. It's hardware, I mean, you can call it AI. I mean, I guess you can write something to put in there to say, oh, this thing is going to learn, or it already has a program in there, a routine that does it. But I guess the AI part is maybe it does learn. I don't know, And if it does learn, what's the baseline? And why is the baseline so bad on the PlayStation, on the PSSR, the PisterTech 5 Potato? Why is it so bad on the PisterTech 5? That's what I want to know. And the thing is, it's like, oh yeah, Ratchet and Clank and all these first party games, oh, they use it and it works really good. And it's like, are you sure about that? Or is it that they're not using it and they're not telling anybody they're not using it, and they're using the extra power on the GPU to do some stuff? Because when anybody else is using PisterTech, it's hot trash garbage. And that's the word. That's not what it should be. It should be, boom, easy to. Remember when I said, yo, the PisterTech 5 Pro needs to be easy, no work, just flick a switch and boom, everything's better? I said that, paraphrasing myself, but I said that, and that's not what it is, and it's hot trash garbage. Oh well. So Flopflation is a real thing, just like the Xbox tax. So there you go. But I appreciate y'all hanging out, like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Mark Cerny's Flopflation terminology, how he came up with it, what was he doing in the bathtub scrubbing. He was like, do flippity floppity flopation, flopflation, Eureka! He called up Haruki Totoki-san. I need your camcorder real quick. I want to record something. That's his inside hood voice. And Haruki Totoki's like, how much of this a cost? He's always taking my money. How much? That's a bad accent too. But hey, I'm Asian. I'm not Japanese though. He's like, how much that gonna cost? Mark was like, $25? All right, go for it. But you better get a receipt. No lunch. Anyway, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Tilt the weight.